And did it my way. Hey, it's been a minute. So before we get into today's video, I just want to give a huge thanks to everybody who checked out my last one and commented. I think we did about 1,000 views in a week on that one, so that response has been unbelievable. I always envisioned a channel where people can just be cool and talk in the comments and have this be a conversation instead of me just talking and you just listening. So thanks again for making that dream a reality. But anyways, let's get into today's video. So yesterday at the time of recording this, I was supposed to see Bruno Mars in concert in Toronto, but the weather was so terrible that they had to delay the show by a week. I'm just glad they didn't have to cancel. That would have been a huge bummer, but I mean, it's not all that bad. At least I got more time to listen back to those old albums and really just appreciate how many modern classics this guy has in his catalog. Okay, definitely not that, no way. Then it got me thinking about other artists, specifically those in the 2020s. See, with the 2000s and the 2010s, given the benefit of hindsight, it's too easy. We already know which songs and artists have those modern classics. So instead, I want to talk about the more recent entries on that list, songs from this decade, the 2020s, that I think 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line, people will still listen to, or at the very least, still appreciate. But before we do that, let's set some ground rules here. First up, aside from some very specific exceptions which we'll touch on shortly, no hits from this list will be from the previous decade. So you're not going to see the obvious 2010 songs on here like Somebody That I Used to Know, Style, Get Lucky, Sicko Mode, Rolling in the Deep, and Teenage Dream on here. And the same can be said for older songs that had a resurgence in this decade, like when TikTok pushes Dreams by Fleetwood Mac onto the charts, or Stranger Things makes us all listen to Kate Bush again. Those aren't going to count because, again, those are already classics. The key word is modern here, a modern classic, meaning it has to have come out now. Also, another thing to discuss here is that streaming numbers play a weird role in this conversation. Undeniably, most of the songs you'll hear today are streaming juggernauts, but I don't think high streaming numbers are a non-negotiable when it comes to considering something as a modern classic. And that's another thing. When I say modern classic, these are not all modern classics in my eyes. Instead, I'm trying to make assumptions or educated guesses as to what the general public, you and me, would choose. And just to make things easier, for the most part, I'll try to stick to pop songs, because that is the dominant genre right now. It's the genre that has the most money behind it, and thus gets thrown to the most people as a result. Like if this was a 70s list, there'd be more disco and soul on here, and if it was an 80s list, there'd be a lot of rock and new wave stuff, right? And I get it, people may roll their eyes, oh, top 40 radio hits, yeah. For every 35 songs, though, that suck, 5 can, and do, influence the culture of music for better or for worse. So if you're not a popular music fan, I get it, but on this one, I think you gotta leave your ego at the door. So yeah, that covers the ground rules. Let's start brainstorming. Oh boy, remember when I said that no pre-2020 song can make this list? Yeah, well, we're probably gonna have to make a few exceptions.
Imagine there's no heaven.
Yeah, remember the COVID era of music? Yikes. See guys, I don't know if you remember this, but the start of the 2020s was not very good, believe it or not. And if music is meant to be a mirror onto society, then the lack of new music at the time really just reflects how fragile and isolated everybody was. So the only real exception to my pre-2020s rule has to be those songs from a year or two before the pandemic that just stayed as hits for 4 years because there was nothing else to compete with it. And this is sort of a lightning round, so I'll get the easy ones out of the way. You have songs like Blinding Lights by The Weeknd, Levitating and Don't Start Now by Dua Lipa, Say So by Doja Cat, Super Lonely by Benny, Everything I Wanted by Billie Eilish, Old Town Road by Lil Nas X, and Sunflower by Post Malone, just to name a few. Now, for the record, I'm not calling all of these songs modern classics definitively because of that gray area, right? The timeline is a bit blurry there, so I sort of want to defer these songs to you guys and get your thoughts. For me, some of these songs feel distinctly 2010s, some distinctly 2020s, so I'll leave it up to you. Do you think any or all of these songs deserve to be labeled as modern classics? Anyways, on to the main list. That was sort of a lightning round, so with that out of the way, here are a few songs in no particular order that I will try to argue are worth calling modern classics.
You know it's not the same as it was.
Going with As It Was just might be the safest lock in human history. Like it or not, this is inarguably a decade-defining song, and I think there's a few reasons for that. First of all, it's extremely accessible, easily one of the most on this list. It's also very trendy. It's got a 2000s indie rock feel to it, there's a bounce, it builds in a way that feels big and not corny, and finally, the subject matter of holding on to the past resonated with that COVID crowd far too well to ignore. Yeah, I guess I'll throw one more in there. It's also an interesting pick because of the state of male pop stars in the 2020s. As you'll come to see on this list, pop is a far more female-dominated genre. It always has been. And so you'd think that the pop boys would have to work overtime in order to stay afloat. But in reality, it's the opposite. Women are held to this far higher standard in pop, and pop mediocrity seems to be far more tolerated from a musical and performance perspective for the guys than it is the girls. You don't have to look far. Acts like Justin Bieber, Ed Sheeran, The Weeknd, and even Harry himself have seemingly been on autopilot for what feels like 10 years. Like, I genuinely think the concept of a male pop star in the way that a Timberlake or a Michael Jackson or an Usher used to be is sort of gone.
Happy Easter, Xbox.
So that's all to say, to hear this refreshing, immediately liked pop song from a male pop star actually did a lot of work to keep that part of music alive for me, and I think that's pretty cool. So here's another male pop star, but I don't know, I wouldn't really call Joe a pop boy, per se. Like, he's an actor. That's what he is. He's the Stranger Things guy, right? Actually, it's funny, now that I think about it, I feel like Joe Keery wants to be a musician in the same way that Harry Styles wants to be an actor. Like, they can try all they want, but I'm not really sold on either persona yet. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Okay, but why this song? Like, what does the Stranger Things guy have to offer here? Well, End of Beginning is sort of the nostalgia anthem of the 2020s. Emotionally, audiences have connected to this song as if it's been around for 40 years, and that's exactly by design. It's just like Stranger Things, a pillar of modern media. It harkens back to an older time, it hits you like a gut punch. It's great. Well, Stranger Things is alright, but you get the point. So I'll leave it there. This is just a perfect song, a song about yearning, about what could have been, looking back to the past. Are you sensing a trend here? Yeah, you're gonna see soon enough most of the songs on this list have a self-reflexive, sort of nostalgic quality to it, but this song just might be the poster child for that sound. Sorry, I need a second to catch my breath. Holy cow. Alright, this is Meet Me at Our Spot, a team-up of two artists, Willow Smith and Tyler Cole, who go by the band name The Anxiety. Now, for the record, this is the live version of the song, and I intentionally chose that because the studio version sounds like hot garbage. Ugh. Dude, how anybody prefers this version over the live one, I have no idea. And the numbers are staggeringly different. Look at that. Look at that. That has got to be one of the most baffling decisions I've seen any fan base make ever. It's crazy. Dude, it might be one of the worst sounding songs of this entire decade. But enough about that, let's talk about the live version. I love this so much. I think it took what I would call a really well-constructed song in the studio version and gave it the vocal and instrumental performance it actually deserved. Man, Willow just soars on these vocals, a perfect fit. And the Tyler Cole guy is alright, like he holds his weight, obviously he's not Willow, but he does what he needs to do here. And it's just a simple song, it's about running away from the frustrations of the world, it feels very warm, rebellious, comforting, and I think that'll stick around for a very, very long time. Alright, enough about that, on to the next one. For those who don't know, The Strokes are in probably my top 3 favorite bands ever, and Ode to the Mets is one of the best things they've put out not just recently, but in their 20-plus year career. So you can sort of consider this pick as my shoe-in cult classic pick that I snuck in here because it's my video, and you'd be right. For the last few decades, The Strokes have had a long and important career in rock music. While other bands get big for doing the absolute most, The Strokes were refreshing for their simplicity. Like, this song was literally written after the New York Mets lost the 2016 wildcard game against the San Francisco Giants. FYI, the song isn't really about that at all, but it is about those feelings of forgetfulness, of loss, of resilience that you would feel as a fan in that situation. Oh man, this song is so impressive to me because it's super long and holds your attention throughout. It's 20 years into the band's career and immediately is a critical and fan base favorite. The melody is perfect, the production is perfect, and you know what? I'll say it. It may just have a contender for the single greatest spoken word line ever recorded in music history.
Drums, please,
Just like, come on! Nothing else to say. It is an unbelievable song. If you haven't heard it, please go check it out. So for those who don't know, Sabrina Carpenter's been making music for a long time, since about, I think, 2015 or so. And a lot of it wasn't very great. I think the biggest issue was it didn't really leave an impression. Like, she still had that Disney star identity, so there was nothing really to grab onto there. But this short and sweet album came out, and the big single, Espresso, where the gates to her fandom just completely burst open. It all happened at once. Now, for the record, Espresso is not my favorite Sabrina Carpenter song, nor is it my favorite song on that album. I think Juno and Bedchem are far more interesting and better performed songs in my eyes. But I do have to concede that Espresso, for as silly and nonsensical as it is just a fucking smash hit. You could not avoid it. Now, pop artists in this day and age try everything in their power to create viral sound bites, a little line or two that people can recite on loop. And this song, one of the things it does great is that it's full of so many of these sound bites. Like me espresso, Mountain Dew it for ya, cause I'm a singer. It just works. The production, the hook, everything. It feels like an espresso. It gives you that jolt of energy. And to be honest, I think that afternoon crash won't happen for a very long time.
Smoking out the window.
Here's my Bruno entry for this list. Finally, a song where a male pop star doesn't sound so depressed. Yes, we got there. Anderson .Paak, Bruno Mars, together. Silk Sonic, just a fun, perfect duo that really bring out the best in each other. They do. Anderson is really able to bring out Bruno's comedic charm, and Bruno gives Anderson the production and commercial boost that he was somewhat lacking in. And you thought the Joe throwback went a long time into the past. This goes even a decade or two before that, back to that Soul Train, Isley Brothers pop and soul music that dominated the late 60s and early 70s era. This is a throwback for the ages. Endlessly fun, endlessly smooth and confident. It's not called Silk Sonic for nothing, okay? And just the chemistry that these two have together is infectious. You immediately get it. One thing I will note here, though, is that Leave the Door Open, their biggest hit, has twice the streams that this song does. But something about the energy and the jokes that Smokin' Out the Window brings to the table makes it far more of a replayable song in my eyes. Now, they're both great. Frankly, Leave the Door Open should also probably make this list, but this is just my personal bias showing, and I'm willing to admit that.
What's the password?
I see dead people.
Oh boy, this beef could use its own retrospective video, to be honest. There's so much to unpack here. I won't get into recapping the history on this one. You were either locked in or you weren't. All you really need to know is that no matter what Drake said in this beef, Kendrick just went into Matrix bullet time, dodged everything, and then just threw a bunch of hits right back at him. Ugh, yeah, it was about as one-sided as you can imagine, and Not Like Us was that kill shot of the whole thing. Just like that Sabrina Carpenter pick, this is in no way my favorite Kendrick song, nor was it the best song of the beef. There's maybe 2, maybe 3 songs better than it. But as the biggest commercial hit in what will go down as the craziest rap beef of our lifetimes, it's gotta be a modern classic, surely. It was just a chess move that was 5 moves ahead. It was crazy to watch unfold. Also, we haven't been talking about the music videos for these songs at all, but this one, it might just be in the conversation for one of the best videos of the decade. Let's move on. This might be the best song on this list, honestly. Like a couple other picks here, we're tapping into some 80s nostalgia, but this song, something about it, it's a technical marvel. The song structure, the way it builds to this emotional conclusion perfectly, and just when it hits that song's peak, it retracts into a corner. It becomes self-aware of the brutal relationship narrative. It's all perfect. Oh my goodness. It just ticks all the boxes, not to mention it's a technical marvel from a singing perspective. Holy shit. No wonder she sings it in a lower key when she does it live. Yeah, I would too. For all that this song has going for it though, I can't help but feel worried for the artist behind it, Chappell Roan. Who's to say whether or not she'll ever top it, or even say how long she'll remain in the music industry? Obviously, she's had some pretty contentious moments with fans over the years, and frankly, I think the fans and the media are blowing a lot of it out of proportion. But the point still stands that, like her or not, this is peak pop writing and storytelling at a time in which songs have never been shorter and songs have never been more nonsensical. Like, this song has a bridge, which for 2026 feels like a foreign concept, honestly. But yeah, it is perfect. You'll have to stop the world just to get me to stop thinking that this is a modern classic. Okay, so if As It Was is the #1 lock for this list, this might have to be the #2. Holy cow, this song is just, it's one of those ones you hear it once and you just get it. You just get it. I don't even listen to it, but it comes on and I'm just like, yeah. I think over the years since Billie Eilish's debut album came out, the work has felt, ooh, how controversial do we want to get with it? I'll say it, it's felt kind of stale or like less important. I think that's in part because she's still working with her brother Phineas on production, and while I do think he is good, a lot of the songs, again, have felt very redundant in comparison to her debut, which at the time felt completely new. Anyways, why do I bring that up? That's all to say that this was the song that made me really believe in Billie Eilish again. A reminder that she makes these songs that hit like a freight train, despite how soft and delicate they actually are. And this song isn't sad in the way that As It Was or Ode to the Mets are. This song is not about holding on to things that are still in this world. This is a song about actively dying and leaving this world for another one. She's had a lot of great songs, man. Honorable mentions go out to Everything I Wanted and What Was I Made For from the Barbie soundtrack. Both are in this conversation for sure. But I just think Birds of a Feather is the most accessible of the bunch. It's the most universally understandable. I'm gonna call it now. I think this is gonna be her biggest song ever. I think it's gonna have the most cultural impact. I think it's gonna be listened to for the longest amount of time. I think it'll have the most streams when all is said and done. And man, what a song to have that be. This is a great one. The punchiest hook of the 2020s, no question. It just cuts through the mix, right into that back part of your eardrum, the falsetto. It's perfect, oh my god. So a couple of thoughts on this one. I see this song firstly as kind of a passing of the torch moment, going from the veteran mega pop star Justin Bieber to the up-and-coming new kid, the Kid Laroi. Now, to be honest, I don't know how I feel about the Kid Laroi being appointed as that successor, but who am I to decide? In a vacuum, he holds his own on this song very well. It's his song, after all. So I don't know how I feel about that. I'll have to think on that one. But secondly, let's just zoom out for a sec. Secondly, I see this song as a chance for Bieber to prove that he's still got it. Man, Justin Bieber, he's gotta be one of the biggest what-ifs in music history, because for every one great thing he does, he's done like 5 or 6 really awkward or terrible things. And these last few years have not been very kind to him. He's had a rocky relationship, critically panned releases, drama and trauma in his personal life, and a disappearing love for performing on stage. So really, more than anything, more than his Coachella performance, more than his new albums, everything, it really feels like a bounce-back, career-defining moment for him, even if he's the featured artist, and that was the true story here. Like, Justin's had some hits in this decade. Daisies is a great one, that's the first one that came to mind, but none hit immediately the same way that Stay does, and for that reason, I think it's a modern classic. Alrighty, so we just did a bunch of songs there. For this last part of the video, though, I'm just gonna take a step back. I'm gonna riff off a bunch of mega artists or mega hits that I think are in the conversation, and I want you guys to duke it out in the comments, because ultimately, I don't really have an answer either way. Okay? Okay? Let's do it. So the biggest and most obvious blind spot here is Taylor Swift. What do we do about Taylor Swift? I'll say this, I've left her off the list thus far because a lot of her output recently has either been her weakest pop efforts to date, or songs that are just lyrical first, I guess, and thus don't stick out in the way that her 2010s hits did. Like, honestly, if you had to pick one Taylor Swift song from this decade as a modern classic, what would it be? Is it Anti-Hero? I don't like that one at all, to be honest. All Too Well? 10-minute version? Like, maybe? I don't know. I don't know. You could say Cruel Summer, that was sort of the cultural fan base's favorite hit, but that was a 2019, 2018 one, so again, where do we fall there? I think one thing we can both agree on is that her 2010 songs were far more universally approachable, say a Shake It Off, or a Love Story, or a 22, your grandma was singing those ones. Yeah, to be honest, I don't think grandma is going to be singing His Love Was the Key That Opened My Thighs, so I'll leave that one to you. Don't shoot the messenger, I'm just saying that I like a lot of her older songs more than the ones from this decade. On to Drake next. He's the other huge name, the other huge hitmaker, the other person that's been breaking streaming records forever now. And Drake's put out about 1 million songs this decade. Surely one of them's good enough. I don't know. But like Taylor, this is not an albums conversation. I think when it's an albums conversation, him, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, like those are the artists that come up. Singles are different though. And there's a lot of singles and material to comb through for Drake, and I just wouldn't know where to start when considering one song as a modern classic. And I'll say this, look, as long as they are making music, both Drake and Taylor Swift, they're still gonna be breaking records streaming-wise. That's their brand. The name holds more value than the music does. But right now, in this current moment, this decade, I truly believe both artists are well past their culture-shifting primes, and that's a very important distinction there, because again, they're gonna be getting a bajillion streams, okay? It's gonna be happening no matter what they put out. Like, let's get into the next one. You know who's an artist that I think has more of an argument here? Olivia Rodrigo. Yeah, I think Driver's License or Good For You or something off of her newest album, when that comes out, is gonna be in this modern classic conversation. Just watch. Here's a cultural blind spot for me. Bad Bunny. Sorry. Bad Bunny. I'll be honest, I haven't heard much of his stuff, but he did just win Album of the Year and did just do the Super Bowl in this same month. So he's had a monster decade thus far. Surely something like DTMF or Nueva Yol or something from that new album should be acknowledged, right? I don't know. I'll let you guys decide in the comments. Next up, we have an artist I already mentioned, Bruno Mars, but without Anderson .Paak, what does Bruno's future look like in this conversation? Well, if you're asking about his newest album, yeah, I don't think it's in the conversation. It just might be too safe, to be honest. Like, look at that lead single, I Just Might. It doesn't change culture in the way that the other songs of his career have. Same goes for the rest of that album. Okay, but what about his collaborations, like APT, Die With A Smile? He had some really big hits this decade. I'm leaning into the no column for those. I don't know, but they might have some legs in this race. You let me know. Here's a funny one. What about WAP? I mean, it certainly had the biggest headlines and cultural discourse of the decade thus far, but people aren't listening to it. I haven't heard that song since it came out, right? So it can't be a modern classic, or can it? Oh man, I struggle with The Weeknd quite a bit, I do. One of the most talented artists in this conversation, but the songs, do they stick around like some of these other ones do? I don't know. I think the best place to look here would be the Dawn FM track list, whose first few songs, I'll go out and say it, I think it rivals that of The End by the Black Eyed Peas. In fact, I'd argue those first few songs beat the Black Eyed Peas here, but I don't think people are ready for that conversation. It's an interesting one. My pick here would be Out of Time, which, contrary to its name, seems to have already an endless shelf life, but you guys let me know your thoughts. I'm curious. Ooh, what about Kill Bill by SZA? I don't know if people ever get tired of that song, to be honest. It's smooth, it's catchy, it's really well performed. I like the pick a lot. But I'm a bit conflicted on SZA. You know, like, despite selling out stadium tours and being one of the best performers I've personally ever seen, her catalog doesn't scream out to me or like jump out in the same way that a Gaga or a Miley or a Doja's does. Again, I think SZA and her music are awesome, but does that low-key sort of delivery lend itself well to a modern classic conversation? Maybe not, to be honest. Alright, I'll bring up one more for today, Beyonce. I think Break My Soul would be the pick here, but unlike Drake and Taylor Swift, she seems to be at a point in her career where she no longer cares about the numbers and reach. Yeah, like, she's an albums artist now, right? And now that she's won the biggest award in music, Album of the Year, I get the sense that she's done with being in the spotlight, at least in the way that she was when she first started making hits. Alrighty, so those are my picks. Here are a bunch more that I didn't mention, and if you're interested, then I will link a playlist in the description below so you can hear all of them once again. Again, not all of these songs are my favorites, but these are songs that I think as a collective culture, we can hopefully agree on as being at the very least debatable. But enough about me. What do you guys think? What is your list? Let me know in the comments down below what you think will go down as a modern classic from this decade. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and we will see you in the next one.
My decision in this what to do, giving and leaving it all up to you. I want you back, I just wanna renew. Grab on my hand and we go to the moon. Ready to zoom, do it remotely. I love what you told me just out of the blue. I see you blush when I check on the hue, check out the view.